Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so every single day, millions of creators are making rapid-fire decisions about what to use, adapt, and post, right? But how many of us are unwittingly stepping into absolute legal minefields? We're literally living in this golden age of creativity, where anyone with a smartphone is suddenly a producer, a designer, or a publisher. It's awesome, but with that incredible power comes a very real dilemma. So today, we're stripping away the guesswork. We're going to look at the actual framework behind copyright, intellectual property, and ethical sharing across the performing in visual arts. Let's get right into it.
Now, before you post that remix track or cover song, we really have to challenge this dangerous illusion of the internet. It's the idea that public access somehow equals free permission. You know, it's so incredibly easy to just right-click and save an image or rip audio from your feed. But look, just because a door is unlocked doesn't mean you own the house. "I found it online" isn't just a terrible legal defense. Honestly, it's a massive professional blind spot. We've got to shift our mindset away from simply asking, "Am I going to get caught?" And that brings us to our core thesis for today, which completely shifts our approach. We're moving from "is this allowed" to recognizing that ethical creation respects real livelihoods. As the quote says, responsible creativity protects both expression and people. When we talk about rights clearance, we're not just talking about abstract, boring laws or frustrating corporate policies. No, we are talking about the dignity, the identity, and the actual economic survival of the artists who make the things we love. Fair recognition and compensation, they literally help reduce inequalities for regional, indigenous, and emerging creators. So, every creative decision basically puts us right at a crossroads. Down one path, you've got chaotic guessing, assuming you have permission, and totally ignoring the source. And yeah, that inevitably leads to public disputes, nasty takedown notices, and completely wrecked reputations. But down the other path, a clean, documented process. That means verifying the evidence, identifying exactly who owns the work, and making a responsible choice based on facts, not just feelings. All right, moving into Act 1, navigating the hidden complexities of music rights. Because, music is never created in a vacuum, and the rights tied to a single piece of audio are incredibly layered. Think of a single song like a piece of real estate with multiple owners. It's a chain. Who wrote the original melody and lyrics? Okay, that's the composition. Who adapted it or wrote the score? That's the arrangement. Then, who is actually singing or playing the instruments on this specific version? That's your performance right. Who pressed record and owns that specific audio file? And finally, where's it being played? Is it in a closed classroom, or is it live streamed to thousands on a public platform? You might have permission from the singer, sure, but if the original composer says no, you're effectively trespassing. Let's ground this in reality with a super familiar scenario. Imagine a grade 9 student band recording a cover song and getting ready to share it with the world. I mean, it sounds entirely innocent, right? They're just kids having fun for a school celebration. But the very second they decide to take that recording out of the closed classroom and post it on a public page, the rules completely change. They are now officially distributing a performance of someone else's composition to a wide audience.
When we actually map this out, it reveals a massive web of required permissions. You need the composer's license for the song ownership. You need the performer's consent to show their faces and voices, and yeah, that includes the privacy of the students themselves. Plus, you need the platform's green light that you aren't violating any of their public policy rules. The absolute most responsible remedy here isn't to just cross your fingers and post it. The professional move is to hit pause on the public upload until every single one of those boxes is checked and cleared.
Okay, on to Act 2, the visual source audit. Let's pivot from audio over to the visual arts, where the line between an artistic homage and outright theft can get notoriously blurry.
The absolutely crucial point here is understanding the stark difference between just being inspired by a vibe and unethically tweaking someone else's hard work. Look, inspiration is a beautiful thing. It's when a general idea, a mood, or a technique leads you to create a totally new, original expression. But transformation and copying, that gets highly problematic when you only make tiny changes to an exact protected work. Let me be super clear. Slapping a vintage filter on someone else's photo and cropping out their watermark is not a transformation. That's just uncredited copying, pure and simple.
To see the real-world impact of this, just imagine a local cafe pulling a neighborhood painter's images directly off their social feed, printing them on a canvas and using them as wall decor. The cafe owner might genuinely think, hey, I'm supporting local art, free exposure, right? But they didn't ask, they didn't pay for it, they literally just took a digital image and used it to boost the commercial vibe of their own business without any permission.
And look at the fallout from that one decision. The creator, the painter, suffers lost control and lost income. The business, the cafe, actively torches its own trust and reputation within the local community, which is the exact opposite of what they wanted. And the audience, the patrons, are just totally confused over who actually owns the art. The remedy here is remarkably easy, guys. The cafe needs to ask permission and buy official prints, or pay a license and commission new work. And at the absolute bare minimum, they need to provide accurate credit displays.
This brings us to a totally non-negotiable habit for professionals: organizing a visual rights dossier. Before launching any visual campaign, you literally need to audit every single pixel. Is the main photograph original or licensed? Who owns that logo? Where did this font template even come from? If any source is a mystery, the responsible action is to pause, verify it, or just replace it entirely.
Which leads us to Act 3, the cultural conscience. Because ethical creation expands way beyond strict legalities, it reaches deep into the heart of cultural respect and representation.
See, copyright law can tell you who owns a specific file, but it doesn't always tell you what is morally right when you're dealing with heritage and identity. You cannot just take a sacred motif or community symbol because it looks cool and slap it on a commercial product without asking. Always verify the cultural context before adapting anything. A culturally responsible creator makes sure their representations are respectful, not exploitative. This isn't just about playing nice. Fair recognition actively helps reduce inequalities, especially for Indigenous artists.
Finally, Act 4, the responsible creator checklist. Let's synthesize all of this into a highly actionable blueprint that you can use literally every single time you create.
Definitely keep this checklist handy. Remember our core mantra here: create, credit, ask permission, and respect culture. Before you share anything, run through these rapid-fire questions. Did we identify the exact source and potential right holder? Is the asset original, licensed, or unclear? Do we have consent from any people shown or recorded? Did we credit the creator accurately and respectfully? Are we avoiding cultural stereotypes or unauthorized commercialization? And finally, did we document all those permissions, license terms, and limits? If rights remain unclear at any point, the bravest and most professional thing you can do is just hit pause. Verify before sharing.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a massive question. What is one habit you will practice before using another person's music or art? Think about it. If the entire internet adopted your exact sharing habits tomorrow, would the creative economy thrive or would it completely collapse? The next time your finger hovers over that publish button, remember that creative rights aren't just annoying legal hurdles. They are the ecosystem. What kind of ecosystem are you building? Thanks for joining me on this one.